Could I kind of get you to acknowledge yourself for showing up today? Give it up to you for even showing up in the house. I'm going to start out with a prayer from the chorus to get centered. I'm going to go for about 2 or 3 minutes, something I'm going to repeat over and over again. And what I'd like to ask you to do is just to take a breath, relax, and realize it's not an accident that you're here today. And kind of get clear in your mind whether you're here to extend love or you're here to judge. Are you here to judge today, or are you here to extend love and receive love? So the prayer that I'd like to use from the chorus is the one that it says will change your whole experience if you believe it. It goes something like this. I am responsible for what I see. I choose the feelings I experience. I decide upon the goal I would achieve, and everything that seems to happen to me, I ask for and receive as I have asked. Take a breath, relax and hear. I am responsible for what I see. I am responsible for what I see. I choose the feelings I experience. I choose the feelings I experience, and I decide upon the goal I would achieve. And I decide upon the goal I would achieve. And everything that seems to happen to me, I ask for. I ask for. I say, and everything that seems to happen to me, I ask for. I ask for and receive as I have asked. And receive as I have asked. I am responsible for what I see. I am responsible for what I see. I choose the feelings I experience. I choose the feelings I experience. And I decide upon the goal I would achieve. And I decide upon the goal I would achieve. And everything that seems to happen to me, everything that seems to happen to me, I say, everything that seems to happen to me, everything that seems to happen to me, I ask for. I ask for and receive as I have asked. I ask for miracles. I ask for miracles. I ask for abundance. I ask for abundance. I ask for love. I ask for love. I ask for freedom. I ask for freedom. I ask for God. I ask for God. And I ask for peace. I ask for peace. I ask for love. I ask for love. I ask for safety. I ask for safety. I ask for joy. I ask for joy. I ask for fun. I ask for fun. I ask for peace. I ask for safety. I ask for joy. All right, You know, it says everything that's going to happen to me, I ask for. It's about 3 or 4 seats right over here. Because I want to look at some cute, hot people right in front of my face, and I think that you qualify. So I want you right there in front of me. There you go. And there's another chair behind. Would you lift that over so that someone else comes in? We can put it over here somewhere and people can sit down. I appreciate that. Thank you, brother. Yeah. That'll work. All right. The section of the Course in Miracles that I'm going to cover. Remember, the only guidelines to the Course in Miracles is that you don't have to believe it, you don't have to accept it, you don't have to welcome it, you don't have to believe it, you don't have to accept it, you don't have to welcome it, you don't have to believe it, you don't have to accept it, you don't have to welcome it, you don't have to believe it, you don't have to accept it, you don't have to welcome it, you don't have to believe it, you don't have to accept it, you don't have to welcome it. Some of the ideas that I present today may be hard to believe, some of it may be quite startling. If you use it, you will see that it works. The Course in Miracles uses Christian terminology to describe universal spiritual themes. So it may be written in language that brings up resistance, but it doesn't have anything to do with what the Course is actually saying. So the paragraph that I'm going to start out with is what I started out with today. The Course says that the only thing you need to do if you want to have vision, in the second paragraph, happiness, release from pain, and escape from sin, which the Course defines as attack. If you want to be free of any kind of attack, if you want to be free of any kind of attack, if you want to experience vision, happiness, and release from pain, all to be given you. It says, say only this, but mean it with no reservations, for here the power of salvation lies. And the Course defines salvation as the escape from the concepts that's jamming you up. Salvation is nothing but another way of looking at things that allows you to keep your peace. What's the point of keeping your peace? If you keep your peace, you can hear your own inner guidance, your own divine guidance, the guidance that you're receiving from Spirit. Then you can hear your own guidance if you have peace of mind. If you don't have peace of mind, you can't hear your guidance. When you're in conflict, according to the Course, you can't hear your guidance when you're in conflict. So the first rule, if you want to get out of any situation that's causing you any kind of fear right now, is you have to give yourself peace of mind. And peace of mind comes from being free of conflict. So, what should I do in order to be free of conflict? Well, the first thing it says you should do is to remind yourself, I am responsible for what I see. I am responsible for what I see. What does that mean? I'm responsible right now for whether or not I'm seeing peacefully or I'm seeing in a way that's bringing me conflict. I'm responsible for whether or not I'm seeing love right now or whether I'm seeing fear right now. I'm responsible for whether I'm seeing it as if you're one with me or I'm seeing it as if you're separate from me. I'm responsible for that. The way I'm relating to you right now, the way I feel in this room right now, I'm responsible for that. I'm responsible for that. That's what it means when it says I am responsible for what I see. It means I am responsible for how I am seeing whatever I'm going through. The next line says, I choose the feelings I experience. I'm choosing the feelings I experience. I don't know about you, but it used to look like my feelings would be something that were happening to me and I didn't have any kind of control over that. Before I know it, I'd just be feeling bad or feeling upset. Like right now, you may be feeling upset about something that's going on in your life. It's a challenge sometimes to believe you are choosing to feel that way. You are deciding to feel that way. The Course teaches that first you decide how you want to feel, then you create the situations that justify that feeling. Then you create the perceptions that justify that feeling. In other words, if I get up in the morning and I've decided that for whatever reason I don't deserve to have a peaceful day today, then I'm going to then perceive everything in such a way that I don't feel good about myself today. If I wake up feeling like I don't feel good about me, then I'm going to have perceptions that justify that feeling. So I am choosing the feelings that I experience. I'm choosing it. Why? Because I have a choice. I don't have to feel this way. Since there is an alternative to the way that I'm feeling, then obviously between the two alternatives, I'm choosing to feel whatever I feel. So I would like you to say to yourself right now that whatever you're feeling right now is not being caused by that person that you think is causing it. However you feel right now is not being caused by that circumstance that you think is causing it. However you feel right now is not being caused by that situation that you think is causing it. You are choosing the feelings that you are experiencing. The next thing the Course says you should say to yourself is, I decide upon the goal I would achieve. I decide upon the goal I would achieve. So that means that I have the goal today of recognizing that I am loved, that I am loving, and that I am lovable. And whatever keeps me from feeling that way about myself, my goal is to uncover it and to release it and to let it go. So I'm deciding that the goal that I'm going to have today is the goal of joining with you and joining with God and joining with the truth. I'm deciding on the goal that I'm going to achieve today. Okay, that's the next statement the Course says you should say if you want to ever be happy. The next thing I should say to myself, and this is the tough one, is everything that seems to happen to me, I ask for. Everything that seems to happen to me, I ask for. Everything that seems to happen to me, whether I perceive it as love or fear, I ask for. And I'm asking for it because I have a choice about what I'm going to see as happening to me. For instance, I could see everything that's happening to me right now in my life as being for my own best interest, even if I don't understand it's for my own best interest. Or I could see everything that's happening to me in my life right now as something that's victimizing me and keeping me from being happy. So everything that seems to happen to me, I'm asking for it based on how I choose to interpret what's going on. I'm asking for it because I'm choosing to look at it this way, so this is the way I'm experiencing it. Everything that seems to happen to me, I ask for, and guess what? I receive it as I have asked. So the Course says if you were to say that after you were to be honest with yourself about what you were feeling, then you would transcend that feeling and get to the peace and love you're looking for. For instance, I'm upset about a situation that happened to me yesterday. I'm going to let myself feel my upset completely. I'm not going to hide the fact that I feel upset about it. I'm not going to repress it. I'm not going to sweep it under the rug. I'm not going to try to be positive to the point that I'm not honest with myself and authentic with myself about what I feel. If I'm mad at you, I'm going to admit I feel mad at you. Whether you creating it, I'm creating it, the Captain Kangaroo's creating it, I'm upset right now. And so I'm not going to pretend I'm not upset right now. So I feel it completely, up to and including the most intense anger that I could possibly feel around that, if that's what I feel. I'm not going to try to be positive. I'm going to tell the truth about what I feel. Got it? I'm going to be authentic with myself. Then I'm going to come right behind that, and then I'm going to tell myself I'm responsible for what I see. I'm choosing the feelings I experience. I'm deciding upon the goal I would achieve right now. And everything that seems to be happening to me right now, I'm asking for it and receiving it as I have asked. And I now ask for the peace of God. I ask for the peace of love in this situation. Asking for the peace of God is asking for the peace of love. It's the exact same thing. So the first thing I do is admit what I feel. The second thing I do is take responsibility for what I feel, and that will dislodge the block in the situation and move me toward peace. So before I go any further, any questions or comments about what I've shared so far? Can I clarify this in any way for anyone in here? Or is there anything you need to share? And it's okay, you don't have to agree with me. Doesn't matter. It's okay.
What page is that on?
I'm on page 448. Mm-hmm. Do you all get that part when I'm saying that what you're feeling is coming from the way you're interpreting it? Everybody clear about that? What that means? Do you get that intellectually but you don't get it emotionally?
Yeah.
Do you find it's very easy for you to agree with me but you still get pissed off about something later on today?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Okay, you know why? Because your emotional response is based on a habitual way of looking at things that you haven't learned how to look at another way yet. So before you affect yourself emotionally, it's going to take a lot of repetition of what I just said before you start choosing for the other feeling. That's why at the very beginning, you heard me repeat it over and over and over again, because I'm aware that it's through repetition that I changed my mind, because it was through repetition that I believe what I believe right now. I believe what I believe right now through repetition. If I want a new response, then I've got to give myself new repetition. Everybody with me on that? So you're not going to change your emotional response by never telling yourself something different. You'll never change your emotional response by listening to me tell you that you need to tell yourself something different. The emotional response will not change until when you're angry, you go, doggone it, I'm mad right now. I know it's a part of me that's choosing to feel this way. I'm the one that's deciding to feel this way. I have a choice about the way that I'm feeling. I could feel, and right now I'm choosing to feel upset. I'm making myself mad at you. I'm making myself so mad at you. I'm making myself so freaking mad at you right now. I'm making myself so upset with my boss. I'm making myself so upset with my boss. I don't know what to do right now. I'm making myself so upset with my current financial situation right now. I'm making myself so upset with my partner right now. You follow what I'm saying? You take that emotional feeling that you have and you put the truth on it, and then you had a lot more power behind the thought and you can change your mind faster. If you set it up where you're not going to feel better until the other person shifts, you put yourself in a position that you're going to be upset and unhappy all the time, because there will always be somebody that's not going to act out your script. There will always be somebody that's going to do it different from the way you decided you want it done. Always. So the minute you set it up where I'll be okay if you stop doing whatever you're doing, that is not going to bring me joy and happiness. And even if you did accommodate me, you're fooling me into thinking that I have some control over you that I don't have. So I'm still deceiving myself, and it's going to hurt me one day. When is it going to hurt me? The day you decide not to do what I tell you to do? Then I'm going to get really mad because I've been under the illusion that I could control you.
Yeah, Earl.
You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Now sometimes you can play a game with each other for a while, like you can control each other. You can have a good time sometimes playing those kind of games. As long as you don't forget the truth, then you can play with the illusion as much as you want to. But you only get hurt when you play in this world when you forget the truth. If you come to earth and forget the truth, you're going to be crying a lot. If you come to this plane and forget that you're the one that's the creator of your experience, you're going to be upset all the time. There are two types of people in the world: those who take responsibility and those who see themselves as victims, period. The victims are miserable. Those who take responsibility are joyful. Anybody else? Any thoughts about what I've said so far before I hit the next paragraph? Yeah, Chris.
Well, I did have a question because, like, I find myself, and I haven't done it as often as I've done it before, but I've found myself, like, when I do get upset or when I feel something that's distressing, I say this, but I keep feeling distressed anyway.
But remember what I told you at the very beginning. You're not going to say it one time and change your mind. Okay. What you're going to do is you're going to remind yourself over and over and over and over and over again until you find yourself not reacting the way you used to.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? Right. Because think about how many times a day you tell yourself that things that your happiness comes from things outside yourself. Think about how many times you tell yourself in a day that if this were different, I'd be happy. Have you ever thought about that? How many times in a day you tell yourself, if I lost 1 pound, I'd be happy. If I could go to a movie, I'd be happy. If I could get some new clothes, I'd be happy. If traffic wasn't bad this evening, I would be happy. If my mother appreciated me more, I would be happy. You think about how many times a day, if I was living in another place, if I was teaching more out of town, I want you to think about that. How many times in the last hour have you told yourself, if something was slightly different about your experience, then you would be happy? Well, so if you tell yourself one time out of a whole day, I'm responsible for what I feel, do you really honestly think that's going to change? Okay. Think, is my head cut off? Look at that.
No, it looks good.
Does it look good?
That's a better angle.
That's even cooler.
That's a good angle.
All right. And usually the thing I need to hear the most is when, like you said, that's when I was trying to mess with it. So
I didn't realize it wasn't on. I saw you turn it on, so sorry.
Yeah, well, all of a sudden the red light went off, and I noticed it wasn't on. Fortunately, my Holy Spirit self keeps aware of what's going on even when I'm doing something. It's like it's two of me. It's almost like it's one of me that watches what I'm doing when I'm here, and there's another me that's learning what I'm saying. There's another me that's saying it. You know, some of you may be aware of the witness. Like, you know, you get ready to do something dumb and you go ahead and do it, but it's a part of you that's watching you do it, and you didn't know, just telling you don't do it, but you go ahead and do it anyway. Everybody aware of that part? Look what I'm saying. How many times in your life have you absolutely knew you were getting ready to do something and you couldn't stop yourself, and it was another part of you was like, no, you know, you really, you get ready to do this again, and then you go ahead and do it. So the Course says, deceive yourself no longer that you're helpless in the face of what's done to you. Deceive yourself no longer. Now, what is deceiving myself? Me thinking that something is being done to me instead of I'm the one that's creating it. Then it goes on to say, acknowledge that you've been mistaken and all the effects of your mistakes will disappear. So I'm going to take a moment to say, I acknowledge that I have been mistaken in any situation that I'm creating pain for myself or conflict. I'm also going to admit to myself that I'm willing for the effects of all my mistakes to disappear. The Course continually says that we have free will, and so we have to do things that's symbolic of our willingness to have a change. And the thing that's the easiest to do to show that you're willing to have a change is to verbally acknowledge to yourself that you're willing to have the change happen. So just a little simple thing is me saying, I deceive myself no longer that I'm helpless in the face of what's being done to me, and I'm willing to acknowledge that I have been mistaken. I'm willing to acknowledge that I have been mistaken if I see myself as in lack. I'm willing to admit that I've been mistaken if I see myself as alone. I'm willing to admit I've been mistaken if I see myself as guilty. I'm willing to admit that I have been mistaken if I see myself as separate from my source, my creator. I'm willing to admit I have been mistaken if I want to attack. I'm willing to admit I have been mistaken if I think I don't deserve to have love. I admit I've been mistaken. Okay, that was another end of another paragraph. Any thoughts, any questions about that? See how easy that is? I am willing to admit that I have been mistaken. So you don't have to do that out loud, but I would suggest that you do that silently. Wherever you're most unhappy right now. Tell yourself you hope you're wrong. Wherever you're unhappy right now, silently tell yourself, I don't want to be right in this situation that I'm unhappy in. I don't want to be right about this person. I don't want to be right. I want to acknowledge that I've been mistaken. My ego goes, hell no, I haven't been mistaken. They're the one that's the problem. They need to change. Okay, so I'm going to admit that I have been mistaken because the Course teaches that if I'm willing to admit that I've been mistaken, all the effects of my mistake will disappear. And I'm willing to have the effects of my mistake disappear. Yes.
No.
Okay, all right. You with me?
No.
Okay, good. Okay, you with me on that? Good. I am willing to acknowledge that I have been mistaken. 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 Okay, now, it's impossible that a child of God be merely driven by events outside of him. I'm going to say it in a way we can relate to it. It's impossible that you be merely driven by events outside of you. It's impossible that you be driven by events outside of you. It's impossible that happenings that come to you were not your choice. It's impossible that the things that happen to you are not your choice. I mean, that doesn't bring up any resistance in anybody in any kind of way. Are you hearing what I'm saying? It is impossible that anything that happens to you was not your choice. It's impossible that anything that's ever happened to you was not your choice. Everybody cool with that? No problem whatsoever. Oh yeah, I got that. No problem. Yeah, of course. Of course it is. You know, it's not. I'm not saying that you shouldn't have any resistance, but it's hard to believe somebody can really hear that and not feel any resistance whatsoever and not be ecstatically blissful. You know, because if I really believe that and there's no problem, then there's nothing I'm upset about right now at all. Because I'm going, oh, okay, well, that job ended, that was my choice. Oh, that relationship ended, that was my choice. Oh, my financial situation, that was my choice. What's going on right now, that's my choice. Because it's impossible that anything happened to me that it wasn't my choice. You know, I remember growing up in a black body, I was always hearing how I was a victim of the color of my skin. That the color of my skin was determining so much that was happening to me. That's what made me want to get into the truth of metaphysics in the first place, was I wanted to get in touch with laws that work regardless of race, creed, color, gender, or sex. So I got into all this stuff because it wouldn't have anything to do with who likes me or whether or not the color of my skin is acceptable or my gender is acceptable. That's what I love about this stuff. It's saying that there are rules and laws that operate regardless of your upbringing, regardless of what you went through as a child, regardless of what you told yourself. There are laws you can tap into that can bring you happiness and joy and abundance that work beyond the laws of man. But I need to learn how they operate. And that's why I like to study this stuff, because it's getting me in touch with things that work regardless of whether or not other people like me. Yes?
There may be some, well, obviously there is some resistance that I'm feeling, but at the same time, there's something becoming more and more and more attractive about the idea that I can make it different.
It should be.
It
It should be. That's wonderful. That's what turns me on. The fact that I have something to say about it, that there are some decisions and some choices that I can make about what I believe and what I think, and then you change my experience, that's a total turn on for me. Anybody else? Any thoughts?
Well, to me, like she says, you know, there's a part of me that's excited, but then there's the other part that that thinks about how, like, you know, I start getting excited about this kind of the truth, and I start getting really excited, and things look like they're working great, and then something that I didn't see, boom, happens, and then that part of me just starts to get discouraged again. That's like,
Well, that's the whole point. The whole point is that you're beginning to make a radical shift in the way you look at things, and the way that the old self that used to look at it the other way does not want you to move into this new way of looking at things. So immediately after really making a heartfelt decision to change your mind, it makes perfect sense that something would happen to discourage you. That's the purpose of it, is to keep you from changing to the new person you want to be. So you should almost look for some type of defense to come up when you say you're ready to make it different in your life. It's like when you're ready to make a big change, you should almost be on the lookout for what is it I'm going to come up with to try to block this change that I'm trying to make. It's not really realistic to think you're going to make a radical shift in your life and not meet resistance from your own self. And what happens for most people is that when that resistance comes up, they don't realize they're introducing the resistance in order to stop the change because they are frightened of the joy that the change would bring. And so they look for something outside of themselves to blame for it. But instead of going, there's something within me that's afraid, and that's afraid about this change that I'm getting ready to make right now, and it's trying to block me. So what should I do? You should keep on doing what you're doing in spite of the way that you feel about it. You should keep on saying, I'm responsible, even if the resistance comes up. You should keep on telling yourself, I'm not a victim of the world I see, even if you feel discouraged. Don't stop telling yourself the truth. Don't expect total transformation to be comfortable. Do not expect total transformation to be without disorientation and confusion. Don't expect a radical shift in your life to happen without some form of resistance. Because if you expect the resistance will never stop you. If you convince yourself that there must be no resistance, then as soon as some comes up, you're going to let it stop you right in your tracks. So don't fall for that. Don't fall for the idea that you're going to go from miserable to bliss consciousness without some intervening transition within yourself.
So you should expect resistance.
You should expect resistance. If you expect it, when it shows up, you'll say, oh, this is the resistance that I expected to show up, and I'm going to keep on doing what I feel is best for me anyway. But the average person doesn't do that. They look like, I came to a class, I'm going to say this one time, my whole experience will change. If it doesn't, what he just said has no validity to it, and it doesn't work.
even when it seems it's all falling apart.
Well, that's so good. I'm happy. I hope everything is falling apart. Because if everything is falling apart, it means that the stuff that you've been using to block yourself is fading away, because the stuff that's falling apart needs to fall apart. Because if it was the right thing, it would be, you would already be happy. You see what I'm saying? If it was already the right stuff, then you'd already be happy. So since you're not peaceful, I'm gonna get you. Since you're not peaceful in the situation that you're in, then obviously you need to change your perception or change the situation, or sometimes it both need to happen. So when you're really sincere about a change, then everything that blocks your change is going to begin to fade out of your life. And if you're attached to pain, like most people are, then you're going to feel a deep sense of loss when the most miserable person you ever been with leaves. Or when the job you hate, they say you laid off. Now you were miserable, didn't want to get up in the morning to go to that job, and they say you're laid off. And you go, oh no! It's like, you need to be laid off. The sooner you laid off, the better, because at that point, you might start moving towards something in your life that really fulfills you. But as long as they give you enough paycheck for you to barely pay your bills, you're hanging there toward a retirement that probably won't happen. Because in the society that we're in right now, we are evolving souls that are creating outer situations that there's no such thing as outer material security to something until you retire. We're doing that because as evolving souls, we're trying to get in touch with our spiritual power, and we're trying to get in touch with the fact that we're sustained by our Creator. So what we're doing is we're getting rid of all the illusionary security stuff that we thought we were going to have when we were growing up that it looked like our parents had. But that's a sign of the fact that we're evolving. That we're not trying to set it up with that illusion that my security is in making sure that I'm on a job until retirement, rather than my security is coming from getting in touch with my spiritual power and linking with my source and learning how to follow guidance and getting in touch with my creative energy. So what we're doing is we're getting ready to create a nation full of people who are being supported through the use of their own talents and skills that other people are wanting to use individually, which means nobody can lay you off. Nobody can lay me off. Nobody lays me off. Nobody else determines my income, really. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, so what I'm telling you is that when you're really doing this, and you're not shucking and jiving, there's going to be some disorientation and some confusion. And stop looking for everything to radically shift overnight when you say something one time that you don't really believe yet. So the truth is, you don't even believe it yet. You know, so what do? You surround yourself with people who help you believe it. You reinforce the belief in your own mind by doing your own personal study yourself. You make sure you're around people who support the idea. And most of all, have some friggin' enthusiasm about your own life. Woo! You know what I'm saying? You can't expect anybody else to be more excited about you than you are. If you're the dullest, deadest person around, you're not going to be attracted nobody to you. Nobody's going to walk up to you and say, hey, what's your name? When you're the deadest person in the room. You're like, people unfriendly. You freaking say hi to somebody. Why should everybody come up and talk to you? Isn't that special? I'm here and everybody got to come up and talk to me. And then I'm going to walk away later and say nobody was really kind and nice because no one came up and talked to me. Why don't you freaking say something to somebody? Why don't you say hello? But if you're afraid, you're not. If you're afraid, you're not going to reach out. But you know what happens? If you are afraid and you admit to yourself that you're afraid and you would love to connect but you're afraid, then the universe will send people to you who will walk up to you and say, hey, you look like you kind of lonely over here, or maybe you're feeling a little uncomfortable because maybe this is a new place for you. Let me introduce myself. See, if you're honest with yourself, your call for love gets answered. But if you're sitting up there judging everybody, if you're sitting up there going, this is not a friendly party because no one's come up and talked to me, rather than admit to yourself that you're afraid to extend, then no one does. And then you walk away saying it was a miserable time. But if you say, God, I'm kind of bashful and shy, and I really would like to meet some people, but I am a little afraid, the universe responds to that. That's your call for love, and it'll be answered. But judgment will not create the answer that you're looking for. So you gotta let go of the judgment. Judgment is what kicks our butt. Rather than just admitting, you know what? I'm afraid. I'm afraid to say hello. I really would like to, but I'm afraid. I remember being a kid, when I came into a room, I crawled around the baseboard. I didn't even walk, I was so shy. I'd come in and crawl into a room. But I had to make a decision at some point. Well, I know what I do. I'm afraid to crawl into a room. I'll be a public speaker. Yes, that's what I'll do. I'll be a teacher. So what did I do? I put myself in a position where I'd have to go beyond my fear because I wanted to. Yes.
When you talk the resistance,
Yeah.
is that the ego? Is that like the human? Like, so when the concept of
Mm-hmm.
growing into believing in my being connected to my creator all the time, that I create all these things,
Mm-hmm.
and then like that crazy whammy thing pops up.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the resistance? Is that like the life? Like what is that?
It depends on what your purpose is. There's a difference between resistance that's coming from, you know you're getting ready to make a change and you want to make a change, but the old part of you is resisting that change.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have a resistance that's just not wanting to change. You know, it's just, in other words, the resistance that comes from, I just want to be right more than I want to be happy. You know, I want to be right about the way I look at things, even though it's not working for me. You know, but if you want to just make it even simpler, love is willingness, fear is resistance. Love is willingness, fear is resistance.
I like that.
Okay? Love is willingness, fear is resistance. Fear is resistance. So when you're feeling fear, you're feeling resistance. Now the cool thing about looking at fear as resistance is this. You can resist my love, but it doesn't mean it's not there just because you're resisting it. You can resist your abundance, but it doesn't mean your abundance isn't there. So when you say resistance, it's allowing you to be honest with yourself about what's going on, but at the same time, it's not negating the thing that you would like to have. Follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, right.
Me resisting you is not the same as saying you are not there. Me resisting companionship is not the same as me saying companionship isn't there. But the fear that I feel lets me know that I feel like I'm going to lose if I do it. The Course says fear means fear of loss. So fear is another word for loss. So every time a person feels fear, they're thinking they're going to lose by whatever the situation is going on. So if I'm afraid to walk up and ask you what your name is, there's a part of me that thinks I could be hurt or that I could lose by getting to know you. So what am I doing? First of all, I'm projecting into you all my previous relationships before you and assuming I'm going to have the same experience with you that I've had with everybody in the past. So my resistance is letting me know, number one, I'm not being in the now moment, that I'm not being present. Because if I was being present, I realized I've never met you before. So you couldn't possibly be my past girlfriend. Because I've never been with you before. So I'm walking up to you, judging you like you were her. And then dealing with you like you were her. You know, so I'm in a relationship with somebody that's not even there. And then I'm going to judge you based on everything they did. That other person did that, I'm going to make doggone sure you don't do it. Well, I'm still not in a relationship with you. I'm in a relationship with the person that's not there. And I'm approaching you because you're supposed to make up what the other person didn't do before you. That's why I'm watching you so closely. Because you got to give me all the love nobody before me has ever given me. So resistance is a good thing in the sense that at least it's getting you in touch with you have some idea of loss around what you're getting ready to do. If you are really feeling love for somebody, all you want to do is open up and give and be as vulnerable as you can possibly be. It's like a dog laying on the floor with his legs up in the air with his belly open. That's love. Not. Love is this. Why is that so scary? Because you're not trying to, you don't know why it's scary? It's scary because you're not coming to that person to love, you're coming to that person to get.
Or control.
Or control. If you were really showing up to give, you wouldn't be all shut off. If it wasn't all about what you could get, why would you be so afraid of being hurt? And if I'm giving to you out of my heart, then that giving is my reward. So it's not really about what you do for me back anyway, if I'm really loving you. So when a person is very defensive, you know they're not loving you, and you know they don't love you. You know they're afraid of you, and you want to get past the fear. Follow me? Mm-hmm. So what happens when you study the Course is that you come into the realization, number one, you don't have the slightest idea what love is or how to do it. When the truth really hits you, you'll understand why your relationships have been the way they've been. In whatever kind of relationship it's, I was afraid. I was afraid. And my fear distorted my perception, and I was never seeing the situation clearly. Love is not getting. Love is not getting. Love is not getting. It's a gift. You know, if I gave you a toaster for your wedding, and you woke up the next morning and I was in the kitchen making sure you used the toaster, you'd feel freaked out. Because I just imprisoned you with my gift. And some of you know exactly what I'm talking about. There's some people that you don't want to give you nothing. Because you know that they don't give anything without any kind of freaking strings attached. So it's not really a gift, it's imprisonment. You know if they've asked you over for dinner 3 times and you haven't done the same thing, you go, oh Lord. And they'll even say it. I've had you over 3 times for dinner. You've never invited me. I didn't tell you to invite me over 3 times for dinner. That was your idea. So it's not. So I don't owe you anything. That was you ask. Unless at first we had an agreement, one dinner for you, one dinner for me, one movie for you, one movie for me, one blouse for you, one shirt for me. You know, it's like, that's called a regular relationship. Nothing but a freaking bargain. So don't get into a relationship that you with a person that you're not willing to bargain with, and who y'all like the bargains y'all gonna give each other. If you're gonna do a worldly relationship, you better make sure y'all like the bargains you're gonna make. But if you're talking about the divine love, if you're talking about a spiritual love, you're talking about something where you're giving, and the giving is the receiving. That the giving itself is the turn on. Not I gave it to you, and what are you gonna give me back? So what? So then I don't wanna deceive myself that you're responsible for how I feel about the gift I gave you. I don't want to deceive myself that what's happening in my relationship is being caused by anything other than me, because I'm the one that's determining how I see my relationship. It's easy to get a relationship. That's not hard. To get a relationship, all you have to do is say, I'm ready to learn. I'm ready to learn. I'm ready to learn. I'm ready to learn. I'm really ready to learn. No jiving. I'm ready to learn. I'm ready to learn. I'm ready to grow now, because now the relationship will be sent to me that will allow me to do that. That's how I know. That's how you know when you're ready. Just say, I'm ready to learn. If you want to have abundance, and you want to know how to have abundance, let's say, I'm ready to learn how to let go of the blocks to abundance. That's all you got to do. Put it in a learning phrase, and the universe rushes to your assistance. If you think you already know, the universe ain't going to do too much for you. If you think you already got it together, and everybody else is the problem, and you're just waiting for them to show up because you're so doggone good, but nobody's recognized it yet, then you really haven't recognized what's creating your reality. I'm ready to say, I'm screwed up, and I need somebody to help me. I don't see things correctly all the time, and I would love to be with someone who also wanted to learn how to get beyond their blocks and perception also. I'd like to know what it feels like to have a fantastic orgasm. Don't know how. See, if you can't even say that, you're certainly not ready to have one. If you get embarrassed just by the thought of it, you're certainly not ready to have one. Like, if you felt any kind of embarrassment or any kind of discomfort when I said orgasm, now you understand why you don't have none. It's not a big mystery. You scared to death of physical intimacy. It ain't that it's just so good, can't nobody have it. It's just you scared. You just scared to have one. You know, where's my relationship? On the other side of your fear. I want to be in a relationship with people who don't blame me and don't get upset with me. Well, Earl, you better be saying I'm responsible for what I'm feeling in this relationship right now. You need to be saying I'm choosing to, you need to walk up to that person and go, you know what, I'm choosing to feel really separate from you right now. I'm choosing to feel really separate from you right now. And I really don't want to feel separate from you right now, but I'm really choosing to feel separate from you right now. I really want another way to look at you right now. I really do. Can you help me have another way of looking at you right now? I need one so bad before I kill you. See, that's the person I want to hang with. Not the person who wants to kill me and says, oh, I'm fine, dear. Everything's just great. No, I want the person to say, I'm making myself upset because of what time you came home last night. I'm making myself upset about what's happening right now. That's the person who's safe. It ain't the person who's faking. It's the person who's telling the truth. The difference with a conscious person, though, is that they experience that anger and frustration without physically attacking you. That's the only rule. Do not physically attack. That's what the Course says. All attack is physical. So it ain't about you not getting mad. It's not about you not saying when you're upset. It's about taking responsibility, saying how you feel, and not physically attacking anyone. Then you'll get past it every time. But you don't want to be in any kind of connection with somebody that you can't be honest about your fears or what you think you're upset about, and you think that that's what love is. We never argue. We never have anything but peace with each other. That's great if you're being authentic. If you're not being authentic, how do you get authentic? Well, the way that I get authentic is to remind myself that I'm responsible for what I see right now. I'm choosing the feelings I experience right now, and I'm deciding on the goal that I'm going to achieve in this relationship, and everything that's happening between us in this relationship is what I'm asking for, and I'm receiving it just as I asked for it. That's how you have a peaceful relationship. And then you go, let's choose what we want. What is going to be the goal? And it's not even like with my boss when I still worked on the job and I was studying this stuff. And I was like, how can I apply this on my regular gig? I went to my supervisor and I said, how can I support you in having the kind of job, the kind of day you want to have today? It freaked them out. You think anybody ever walks up to their supervisor and says, how can I make your day easier? Because I know in most cases you're not making the rules. You got to be the one that's enforcing them. What can I do? What did he do? He turned around and made it as easy as he possibly could for me to go out of town to teach seminars when I first got started. That's what he did. But most people, they just complain. They don't ask. And if they don't want the job anyway, they're going to ask, and it's not going to do any good. You know why? Because they don't want to be there. And if it worked out, there would be a more excuse to be there. So it's better if they try to make it different and it doesn't make a difference. Then you can feel more justified when you leave. The same thing is true in a relationship. If you really don't want to be there no way, then when you try to do what you're trying to do to make it better, subconsciously you don't want it to be better because you don't want to be there in the first place, and so it doesn't work out, and you can feel justified to leave. So that's why the Course is saying you need to decide at the beginning, what is it you want? What do you want to experience? Be authentic. Take responsibility, and you'll watch the kingdom of heaven open up for you in every area of your life to the point it will freak you out. And you deserve to be freaked out. And you deserve to have joy. And you deserve to have happiness. But I promise you, nobody's going to get more excited about you than you. So ask yourself if you would want to date you. Ask yourself. Think about the way you respond. And then ask yourself, would you walk up to you? With you being just the way you are, would you want you? Like you ask the average person and you say, what kind of partner do you want? What kind of friends do you want? They'll say, I want somebody that's smart, intelligent, spiritual, abundant, free, innocent, passionate, adventurous. And then you have to ask yourself, would a person like that want me? Would a person that I just described, would they want me? Which one of those characteristics, Earl, do you have? So my motto from the Course is this: be what you want to have. So that's the way the Course says, be what you want to have. So I think about what I want to have, then I ask myself, how can I incorporate it within my own mind, within my own personality? I'll become it, then I draw it. I create it. It's attracted to me. But I've got to become it first. And that's the easiest way to create what you want in this reality. You be it, and you'll see it. Be it, and you'll see it. If you don't see it, you ain't being it. Deep. So, you're juicy, you're sweet, you deserve to be loved, take some responsibility, have some joy, and party like a big dog. Acknowledge yourself, Holy Spirit. Give it up. Give some enthusiasm up for you. Want somebody else for you, you have it for you. Oh yeah, I'm telling you, we're gonna do the financial expression of appreciation now. I appreciate you all. I do the Course in Miracles full time. I appreciate your sharing. I hope you receive something that you see as being valuable through me, not from me. Because I'm learning just like you are. I'm learning just like you are. Isn't that awesome? Thank you for sharing. I appreciate that so much. I really do. All you out there in internet land, thank you for sharing with me. I appreciate it so much. I got some stuff I'm going to be doing for you all soon too. I'm available for what I call clarity sessions if you'd like to have a one-on-one and get past your blocks and whatever you think is holding you back that you're willing to let go of. You can go to my website, earlpurdy.com, and it explains the clarity sessions in detail, and I also do them over the phone. And also some flyers on this table and up here that explains what I do in my personal sessions. If you're really sincere about getting past your blocks, then I'm here to support you in doing that. And there's nothing you're going through that's new. There's nothing you're going through that there's not an answer for that already available. You're not that special. You're not so special that you could have anything that troubles you that God could not solve, that Spirit could not solve. I'll say that again. There is nothing that you're going through that could not be healed. And if you're happy, then support your happiness by dedicating yourself even more to your spiritual path so that you can continue this joy and allow this joy to expand. One of the challenges when you think you're happy, it's like driving a car and never putting gas in it. Like the truth that you studied in order to produce that result, the temptation will be to stop doing what you were doing to produce the result that you're enjoying and to lose yourself in the joy of what you are now manifesting. Like coming to a class, your life gets better, or studying a book, your life gets better. Doing your meditation or your work, your life gets better. You get so caught up in the stuff that's being manifested now from what you were doing that you no longer take the time for you and God and you and the truth. So that's just like driving a car without continuing to gas it up. And sooner or later, it's going to run out of gas. And then you're going to go, what happened? Things were going so good. And then you need to be honest with yourself and ask yourself, am I really still doing what I was doing before to assure the breakthrough that I had? Am I still as committed to my path? Am I still studying as much? Am I still meditating as much? Am I still getting as excited about my evolution and my growth? Or now am I kind of coasting along because I got some change? Because I believe you deserve to be happy. And I believe you deserve to be happy in a way that only extends and expands. And it's important to be what you want to have. Be what you want to have. So today, this week, all week, ask yourself, what do I want? So we're going to go on out into the lab in a minute. I want to be what I want to have. I'm going to be what I'm going to have. I'm willing to be what I want to have. I'm willing to be what I want to have. I'm willing to be what I want to. Now, I like to ask whoever feels like it to be loud with me. Whoever feels like it. Okay? All right? We'll put it out to the universe. I want to be what I want to have. I am willing to be what I want to have. Say what? I am willing to be what I want to have. I am willing to be what I want to have. I am willing to be what I want to have. Raj, you are willing to be what you want to have. I am willing to be what I want to have. Say what? I am willing to be what I want to have. Say what? I am willing to be what I want to have. I am willing to be what I want to have. And I bless myself because I bless the world. I go, I bless the world because I bless myself. 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 Thank you for coming today. I appreciate y'all. Next Sunday, 1 o'clock, check it out. I video all my classes and I put them online and they're on Google. I mean, they're on YouTube. Just Google me and I'll come up everywhere. So I do that so you can listen back to the classes. I literally have over 700 classes online that you can check out because it's the repetition that makes the difference, and I believe you deserve to be happy. And I believe I deserve to be happy. Hugs are available. I love you. Have a great, blessed week. Woo. You're welcome.